May 21st on a Tuesday. This is Tech Tales 16, and it's 6:30 p.m. in the evening. Today is one of those days that I kind of consider a vacation day. I don't take the traditional vacations. They just don't interest me of going away for a couple weeks at a time. So I basically allow myself any day that I choose to, sometimes on the spur of the moment, I'll just take the day off, which means if I have tasks to do in my lab, but they're not really any big time pressure on them, or if I have things on my list to do with clients out at their offices, but no time pressures, meaning no clients out there actually have a work stoppage type issue, then I'm free to take a day off whenever I choose to. And today I was going to have grandpa duty again from 12:30 till about 5:30. So that's even more than yesterday. Yesterday was only a couple of hours. And this morning I worked on that dog leash project. Well, yesterday I told you that maybe that wasn't really such a justifiable thing to be spending my time on. Well, I'm going to eat my words on that. That was very justifiable to do, and it's kind of given me a little revision to my mindset maybe when you have an opportunity to do something outside of your normal, and it may be an opportunity to pick up a new skill. Yeah, that's a good idea. So here I'm going to show you some pictures of this dog leash repair. I didn't get pictures of the whole thing, but I'm just going to show you a couple short video clips of what it looked like at different stages. At one point, I decided, hey, you know what? Maybe YouTube. So I actually searched for the brand that you see on the side of that dog leash, and retractable leash repair, I think was how I searched. And it's there. Unbelievable. Oh, Tug. That's what it was called. Tug. Retractable dog leash repair, and there are videos on it. YouTube, hats off, amazing. The things that you'll find there. Well, now the downside was that those repair videos I wasn't quite satisfied with because they didn't really complete the job, and I wasn't convinced that it was really going to be a serviceable device afterward. So then I thought I'd take a different approach, and I just broke out those pieces on the top right where the leash comes out of the device and was able to get better access and untangle the leash that was inside. And then when I put it back together, realized that that's gonna just keep coming off of that spindle just like a bicycle chain that just keeps coming off. So then I Googled hard plastic repair and found these techniques that I haven't used before. I know that I've come across it before, but I've never used it and didn't come to mind. So it was using baking soda and super glue and scotch tape and paper. What else? That's really about it, and some simple hand-working tools. And when I realized, hey, I have all of those things, I just went ahead and did the repair, and here's what it looks like afterwards. It just turned out way better than I imagined that I might be able to accomplish. So I picked up a new skill of hard plastic repair. Am I ever going to need that in repairing computers? You bet. Yes, I have come across that need and just haven't been able to do the repair. And these were really pretty quick and simple to do. And I found another way of repairing it that involved taking the insulation off of a braided electrical wire, bending that up in a zigzag shape, and then using a soldering iron to melt it into the plastic pieces that you're trying to join together. And wow, that looked pretty impressive too. So I'm going to say that the comment I made yesterday about it maybe not being a justifiable project for me to work on, well, I was young and dumb then. Today I'm older and wiser, and I know better. So that was actually fun. that was a recreation from my normal work to do that, and then the surprise of my grandson and my daughter when they saw the repair. Very satisfying. Well, being it was a day off, I still had 3 client services that I performed. 9:31 to 9:48 a.m. a phone conversation with Shay at a company, GA, one of the housing units that I had told you about previously. And I spoke with Shay, and I spoke with a postage meter technician. They had a postage meter in the office that was not making consistent connections with the computer. After talking with Shay a little bit, then I called the technician at the other location where he was at and had a conversation with him. And what I found out was this particular postage meter does not have its own Ethernet connection, does not have the capability of connecting wirelessly to the network. So it connects via USB cable to one of the computers in the office, and it just wasn't able to communicate with the postage company's server consistently, and he felt that it was a permissions issue or a firewall issue. His workaround solution for today was that he was going to use his cell phone to connect wirelessly to add postage to the postage meter so that they could get by for a while until I come in. He was also going to leave a device there that connects by USB cable to the postage meter, and this device essentially sounds like a Wi-Fi, not access point, but client, because it can connect to a Wi-Fi network or an Ethernet cable. So he said he's going to leave that, and I could implement that if I chose to. So there's another example where a computer technician, if you're willing to be adventurous and try to solve your client's tech needs, can get involved with something that's a little outside of the realm of computer. And I always jump at the opportunity to do that. And I always represent that I'm not an expert in that arena, but just willing to work on it. So then I had later in the day a phone conversation from 2:41 p.m. to 3:25 p.m., 44 minutes, with Bob at the law office, the PW law office. He's the one that I am making steps to converting him to use OneDrive. So he's back in his office, and he called me asking me how to deal with this, and I was expecting to be able to meet with him in his office to show him through it. Well, I had my grandson here at my home at the time, and we went ahead and tried doing the phone call. My grandson was just terrific. He didn't bother me during the phone call trying to get my attention. He allowed me to deal with my client phone call. He's 5 years old. I was really impressed and pleased with him, and I thanked him for that afterwards. Anyway, I connected remotely to Bob's office computer and showed him how the OneDrive works and where his folders are at and where I moved the files that were on the server in the office to his OneDrive account, and explained to him how he would be able to access that the same way on his Clovis home computer and his second home on the coast and this office computer. And he has another little laptop that he carries around with him, and he said you could do it on there too. And he said, well, no, that doesn't have enough hard drive space. And I told him, well, you can just go, if you have internet connection, you can just go onto the website for OneDrive and access all your files there. And it seems like he was pleased with that. And I'm not going to say his voice had a pleased tone to it. That's not Bob, really. But he wound up giving me the thumbs up for doing the same with his wife's laptops in Clovis and at the second home on the coast. And her name is Holly. I've mentioned her to you before. So the next step is tonight, probably around 9:30 p.m. thereabouts, I'm going to connect remotely to his laptop in Clovis because he said he would be finished with it for the night. And I'll configure the OneDrive account on that computer remotely and begin the synchronization process. I also explained to him if there's any files on the laptop that have the same name and are in the same subfolders as files that are on his office computer, that I'll be given a choice to either choose one of the two versions of the file or to have both versions available for him, and the name will be slightly different at the end of the name because OneDrive will do that automatically. And he said, yes, let's do that. So that is in place. Now, there was another thing there that we had to do. I had left him a message previously about this, that there was a set of files that failed to copy to the OneDrive account when I set up his office computer because the file and path names were too long. There's a limit to how long the path name characters of all the levels of the folders that you have files stored in, and then the length of the file name. Add all that up, and what was it? I think 250 characters. Well, he had some folder names that were sentences, and he had some file names that were sentences, and they were too long. So I had stuck those off in a different location. While he had called me on the phone, caught me off guard while I had Braden with me. It took me a little while to remember where I had stashed those. I stashed them on a area of the file server that he doesn't have access to from his computer. So I had to connect remotely to the file server, and with his consent, I changed the names of those folders and files. Let me back up a little bit. First, I moved them to a location where he could see them, but it wasn't as deep into the folder structure that they would normally be located. So then I could get to a point where he could see the names of the folders and the files. And then I discussed with him or negotiated with him what to change the names to so we could shorten them up. Once we got them shorter, then it was simply a matter of remotely connected to his computer to copy those files from the network file server share to his OneDrive folder, and that worked. So that was another task crossed off my list. Then 5:30 to 5:45 p.m., after Braden had left with his mother back to their home, I replied to an email that came in from the CC. I think I referred to this company as CC, the one that has the bank deposits that get transmitted electronically. She sent me an email earlier in the day asking for an estimate of what it was going to cost to complete that project because one of her directors from the board of directors was asking for an estimate and trying to gather all the cost information before he was going to authorize switching to the new bank. So I replied as well as I could. I always get a little bit shy when somebody asks for an estimate or a quote. And essentially my response will be sometimes along the lines of, this is an area of work where often surprises come up. I can give you a ballpark, what area I think it would be if things go well, and I can give you an idea of an amount that I don't think it will exceed even if things go really difficult. I didn't use that description this time because I felt a little better about it. Another email I had received today that I wasn't aware of until I was reviewing these was from the new bank, and they sent me a sample of what their PDF file is going to look like. And I thought it looked pretty reasonable, that it wasn't going to be too big of a deal. So I told her I thought it was going to take 2 to 4 hours of programming work to adjust for the new layout. I think it's going to really be on the low end of that, because I won't really know until I start doing the work, or actually until I finish doing the work. Because I could start doing the work and thinking, hey, this is going okay, and then the last thing that I need to make an adjustment for, there could be some complication to it. One of the complications would be is maybe they're going to provide the information with a different field name or the information in a different format. I don't realize that until I actually perform an import operation. And I told her it was going to be about half an hour of time to install the modifications on their computers. I only have to copy, I think it's only going to be copying one file to one location on the server. And I actually have to email that file to them. I can't copy it with a memory stick or a CD disk or an external drive, because their computers aren't allowed to connect to any external media. So the only way to get them the file is to email it to them as an attachment. And then it has to be an extension that their firewall won't block. I also told her that they do 3 different deposits during a month. The first of the month is huge. And there's pressure on that day because their customers, clients, the people that are going to get the money, they're typically waiting in a long line, wanting to get the portion of the money that is given to them for pocket money. So I told her that we should, the first instance of receiving the deposit through the new bank, you need to schedule that so it's on one of the other 2 dates rather than the first. Don't do it on the first of the month. And I told her that there could be some bugs that we have to work out. So I said that if you get a budget allocation of 10 hours at $110 an hour, I think it's, even with a poor amount of luck, we're probably going to come in under that number. So that's what I gave her in response to the request for an estimate. And I'm suspecting that they're just going to be fine with that, and that the whole reason for asking for this is because they didn't want to get surprised with the 30 or 40 hours. When we first set this up, since it was all new from scratch, I don't know what the total number of hours was, but it easily could have been 30, 40, 50 hours. So they certainly didn't want to commit to that again. So anyway, that was a total of 1 hour and 16 minutes of billable time on a day when I really consider it as a day off. I suppose, let's see, was there any, I don't think there's anything else intended to talk about today, so that'll do it. Catch you next time. Bye.